Escape room employees, what's the weirdest way you've seen people try and solve the rooms? There was a story on here a while ago about a guy in a group of 4 who took a broom from the first room because it had to be for something. He said it looked too out of place to not be needed. Well, he was half right. It was out of place, but that's because it was the broom used by employees to clean the room. It was simply forgotten when they cleaned last time. The guys giving hints thought it was hilarious that this guy carried a broom through 4 rooms expecting it to be the key to their escape at some point. I thought that was funny as hell. Had a group of engineers who were familiar with the style of the lock effectively reverse engineer the lock. They showed us how they did it afterwards. A friend of mine works for an escape room, and he told me one about a puzzle where the key to the next door was shackled to a desk by a combination lock. What you are supposed to do is figure out the combination for the lock from the clues around the room to free the key. What one group decided to do instead was get a guy on each corner and pick up the 150-pound desk and carry it across the room, slide the key into the lock, and then rotate the entire desk to unlock the door. Not an employee, but I went with a group of friends once. It was a room where you started out with your ankle shackled to the wall and just had to get to a door to escape. As soon as the timer starts, this shy, quiet girl in the group takes off her shoe and sock, yanks her foot completely out of place, slides the shackle off, resets it, and walks out the door. It turned out she had some condition that makes her joints super flexible, but she set the record for the fastest escape time. Went on a team building escape room and ended up in a room with a colleague we'll call Jeff. Jeff is profoundly deaf, and a large part of this particular room involved listening to messages on dictaphones that could be found in different drawers, etc. About 10 minutes into the timer, an employee burst into the room in a panic, and we turned to find Jeff taking the dictaphone apart piece by piece because he had no idea it was making any sound. He was not supposed to do that. Breaking everything, trying to eat or drink things they should totally not be trying to eat or drink. Not an employee, but I saw a post a few years back where a group had used up their 3 hints and were hopelessly confused still. So in an act of desperation, 15 minutes before their time was up, they performed a mock sacrifice using the pentagram already on the floor. This was a horror themed room, and laid one of their friends on the floor while the other 4 chanted the Halo theme hoping they would be granted a 4th hint. Truly, I wish I was making this up. By just standing around doing nothing. Like seriously, you give them a hint, we have already looked there. Well, look better people. This was pretty standard though, to be honest. Also same, you tell them they don't need to climb things. They do. You tell them to not use any tools. They take out their pocket knife. So many of these examples. I was part of a group that had surprised the employee because he witnessed us skipping a bunch of the puzzle on the camera. There was a puzzle involving a box you could look into, but when looking inside the content was all blurry. In order to see the next clue, we had to put a sort of lens in front of it so that the clue would be readable. However, we found out that, by looking through a very small seam, we could make out what the clue was supposed to be without ever finding the lens. I did something similar once. Went to a conspiracy theory themed room with friends and forgot to lock my polarized sunglasses up in the locker before going in. Mid-game I was putting on the sunglasses as a joke because oh geez, it's so bright in this room. Glad I totally remembered to bring my sunglasses. Not like you losers then looked over at a screen and saw a message up on it that you apparently needed to find the special polarized goggles for. We managed to skip past the need for that on pure luck. One of the puzzles is opened at the start of the room to reveal a large jug of water with a floating key, but the water level is too low for you to reach it. As you progress through the room you get smaller canteens to fill up the jug. Bachelor party comes in already tipsy, orders multiple drinks as they progress through the room, and at some point one of them pisses into the jug to raise the water level. This is what made me leave for another job. If you ever go to an escape room, just know we are judging you for every move you make. Group of high school kids, not exactly the smartest bunch, got stuck. There's a semi-decorative wardrobe in one of the rooms. It's basically there to hold a few lamps and hide some wiring. Kids decided there's a hidden doorway behind it. I told them there wasn't. They didn't really care, so they ripped the wardrobe off the wall it was fixed to, basically ruining most of the wiring, which meant they had no way to solve a bunch of stuff, and I had to tell them to leave. On the other end of the spectrum, in the same room there's a chessboard with two pawn pieces that have magnets on the bottom. In my country magnetic chess sets are pretty common. There's a key that can only be moved with a magnet because it's in a narrow tube. When players find the key and don't yet know the pawns have magnets, we usually try to subtly direct them to the chessboard with hints, like you seem to be in kind of a checkmate there. One day this very loud and confident mega genius decides they have to create a checkmate on the board that has two pieces neither of which are kings. He is very adamant that this is the solution. Shuts down anybody who suggests otherwise, and even Chul gets mad because he was given an impossible puzzle. Taking a screwdriver and dismantling furniture, or taking doors off hinges, all the while we specifically tell them not to use force, and that furniture is just furniture, though I don't care cause they gotta pay the damages. Also had some groups press our panic button cause that opens all the doors for emergency cases, so they can skip puzzles and be faster. Makes zero sense to us cause they are paying for an hour of playtime and to solve puzzles. Not like the price is reduced, cause you solved less in fewer minutes, especially since our prices aren't cheap. One of my friends worked for a temporary one for a month. It was a mobile one. Like people entered a trailer, and it was raising charity for some week-long Halloween-ish event. Sales were lackluster, with only a quarter of the blocks filled. She said the worst she saw was a family of Karens and Instagram influencer types who had a child with them who obviously did not want to be there. She was 12 to 13 or so, and definitely in a mood, rolling her eyes, hooked to her phone, and so done with it all. There are more of these doing escape rooms by clueless people who think this is the moment their family will bond. And it doesn't work out because the problem is with the person holding all the denial coins. In most cases, these people check out, stay on their phones, and nothing interesting happens. Haley, aren't you going to join us? Don't you wanna have fun? No answer. But in this case, this girl was actively resisting. I don't want to be locked in there with all of you. I'm claustrophobic, and so on. Parents laughed it off as teenagers, am I right? They proceeded to drag her into the trailer, and that's when the fun started. The second they locked the door and lights out, the teen completely mentally lost it. Had a full-blown panic attack. Let me at it. She started throwing her full body weight against the exit door, which was a sturdy steel door. But after a few solid hits, my friend was worried the teen was actively going to hurt herself. The parents kept laughing it off, like, oh, look at her, such drama. These are the awkward years, and didn't listen to my friend over the speaker, so she unlocked the door. But the teen was now beyond all sense like a spooked horse, and kept slamming the door with her full body over and over. It opened inwards, so she got out of her booth, and opened the door, and the teen ran out into street, and was hit by a, thankfully slow moving, car. My friend called 911 and the paramedics were actually close by, since this was part of a larger outdoor event where the EMTs and fire department were on display. Apart from some bruising, the teen was okay and treated and released. Everyone saw this teen running from the trailer, screaming her head off, get hit by a car, and walked into an ambulance. My friend said, our sales were pretty lackluster until that happened. And then I guess everyone thought, wow, that place must be intense, and filled all the blocks for the rest of the event. I've seen so many. I had a room where we handcuffed everyone together. Key wasn't super challenging to find, but required teamwork, and had a few groups decide that staying cuffed the entire time was better. It wasn't. Also had a group not believe some of the clues were only used once, but were adamant in trying. Then regular people that decided to look beneath the floorboards. One was easy to lift. I think my favorite ones are the groups that do anything they can for an extra/free clue. Was pretty fun. If it was an event related group, like a birthday, could make them sing the birthday song to whoever's day it was. Great laugh. Especially if it was a kid's birthday. Just a weird one. Had a group escape, with a bit of help on my part, because I was pretty sure I saw a kid in the group pee in the corner of the room, but I couldn't check until the group was out of the room as it was very dark in the room. There was an emergency escape button by the door, which we always pointed out and explained. For obvious reasons. Kid had to have been 13 or so. And yes, the kid did pee in the room.